Kim Barker, who is a longtime investigative reporter and foreign affairs correspondent, now working for the watchdog group called ProPublica, is with us this morning. She's been looking into these super PACs and these other organizations that have become key players in this campaign. These groups, of course, have really opened the floodgates with money. They have spent over $130 million, I think it is already, Kim. But you have come up with some reporting that really sheds a whole new light on how this stuff is working, how this money is being funneled into nonprofit organizations, which are getting a tax break for putting some of these commercials on the air. So just first, tell us, who are these groups and what is it they're doing? I'm not sure I quite understand this.
Well, that's a very good point, and I think a lot of people don't really understand this. They're the groups that have these innocuous-sounding names like Americans for America, Citizens for the Future, these kind of names. And specifically what I was focusing in on was not necessarily the super PACs, but their nonprofit cousins. And these are these 501c4 dark money groups. Both of these groups were empowered after the January 2010 Citizens United decision by the Supreme Court, which really opened the floodgates to a lot more, unlimited amounts of money from corporations and from unions and nonprofits going into the campaign. So what we did was we took a sort of a forensic look at 2010 and what happened in the midterm elections with these particular groups and how that could affect what's going to happen now. Basically what you have is millions of dollars, and it's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars coming into this election where we are not going to know where that money is coming from. We're not going to know who's giving the money. We're not going to know who's buying the ads. We're not. The American public isn't. But the people whoever benefits from this, there's no doubt that they're going to know.
But what I find interesting is that these groups are actually getting a tax break for putting these ads on television. And these are the ads. They don't say vote for X or Y, but they say call President Obama or call Mitt Romney and tell them to do X, Y, or Z.
Tell them to do X, Y, or Z, or tell them to do something in November. Or, tell them to give American workers a break.
And they're getting a tax break, just like if they were a charitable organization.
Well, sure. If they get this tax break, if they're able to categorize these ads, and a lot of them do, as, say, education or issue advocacy, these sort of ads, they're able to categorize as to get a tax break. Now, the ads that they actually claim as political ads, they're supposed to pay taxes on those ads. But then there's another caveat on that, where they're supposed to pay taxes on that or their net investment income at the end of the year, whichever is less. So in effect, you can find a way to get out of paying these taxes.
But aren't they having to certify to the Internal Revenue Service that these are not political ads?
Certify, what does that mean?
Yeah,
here's the interesting thing that we found out, is that folks don't have to pay taxes, they don't have to submit their taxes for, more than a year after an election. And by then, the ads are off the internet, it's difficult to find the ads. If you're the IRS and your primary goal is collecting revenue, do you really want to spend all your time chasing these nonprofits? It's a huge problem, and nobody's actually, the thing that I find is that nobody's actually talking about it. It's just sort of accepted that this is the way it is, that we have all this anonymous money coming in there, and there's nothing we can do about it.
But isn't somebody supposed to police this? Isn't there somebody supposed to check on it, and who would that be?
Well, the IRS is supposed to, on one hand, and then the FEC is supposed to as well. That's the Federal Election Commission. Now, they're supposed to be the ones that are monitoring that all the ads are being reported. But they're, as many people have reported, they're paralyzed by this 3-to-3 partisan split. So you can actually go in front of the FEC and say, I want to run ads. One group did this in May. I want to run ads that say the White House or the administration right before this election, and I'm not naming Obama. So do I have to actually report these to the FEC? No. They deadlocked 3-to-3. So there is one group that's actually going to be running ads right before the election. You're not going to know who's paying for those ads. You're not going to know necessarily where they're going or how much they cost, because they don't have to report them to the FEC, but they're going to be out there influencing what people think about the campaign.
And they're doing it with a tax break. So in other words, the taxpayers are getting stuck with part of the bill for these things.
Right, because they don't have to pay income. They don't have to pay federal income taxes.
How did this come about?
Well, and these are groups, they're called social welfare organizations, and they're allowed to spend a certain amount of money on politics. They always have been, or at least for the past couple of decades. But it's always to further their mission. You know, it's groups like National Right to Life or Sierra Club, that they have a specific issue, and then they run some ads, some campaign ads to further that. But it's not these whole like new groups that spring up overnight that are like, you know, again, this Americans for America, Citizens for the Future, these groups with these vague names that everybody can get behind. They come in, tell the IRS, we're not even going to do politics at all. Then they get recognized as tax exempt, turn around, start buying ads, fold by the time their tax returns are due. This sort of thing is what we've seen it since 2010. We're going to see it to a much greater extent in 2012.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That's an eye-opener.